Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Gimme 5 Book Reviews and Author Interviews, where we introduce you to authors across all genres and explore the stories, experiences, and inspiration behind their books. Today, we have a very special guest joining us. Last year, we welcomed author Jonathan M. McDonald to the show to discuss his powerful memoir, Jonnie Maine, a Memoir, a story of music, resilience, transformation, and the journey of discovering his voice as an artist and a writer. Jonathan is back with an exciting chapter in his writing career, not another memoir, but with his own first fiction release, Escape from the 38th, a gripping geopolitical thriller inspired by real-world events surrounding North Korea. Jonathan's new novel tells a story of Kim, a woman who escaped North Korea as a child, but left behind her twin sister. 13 years later, she discovers her sister is still alive and trapped inside one of the world's most secretive and dangerous regimes. Faced with the impossible choice, must decide whether to protect the life she built or risk everything to bring her sister home. With themes of freedom, family, sacrifice, faith, courage, and hope, Escape from the 38th asks one of the powerful questions: how far would you go to bring someone home? Jonathan M. McDonald is also a host of the Jonnie Mac Show, a weekly podcast where he explores culture, global events, current issues, and personal experiences through his unique perspectives as a writer, storyteller, and community voice. Jonathan, I'm so excited to have him on the show, so let's go meet him. Let's bring him in. Come on. So welcome back, Jonnie. How are you?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Really good. And it's great to have you here again. Since our last appearance, what has changed in your life and writing journey?
So I've released, last time we, had just released my first book, the Jonnie Maine, that was my memoir. This new book though, I took a different route with it. It's a novel. I guess you could say it's a geopolitical type of thriller type of a book, and it's called Escape from the 38th.
Which is really cool because it's based on Korea, where I live, and you're in the United States, you're in Florida. So that's pretty cool. So your
when I seen
character is
that in that email, I saw that in the email and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, because I had sent the email and I didn't, when you responded, it said Korean time. And I'm like, oh, she's just doing that for the, she just read the emails and all that. And you hit back like, I hadn't got to read the email yet, but no, I'm in Korea. I'm like, this is going to be perfect. This will be perfect.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
That's really cool. Yeah, definitely some authenticity there. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Fantastic. So tell me now, when we were discussing your last book, Jonnie Maine, a memoir, you shared your personal story of music, struggle, reinvention, and finding your voice. How did that experience prepare you for writing fiction?
Well, because again, in the last one, it was, like a test run. I was learning. I wanted to learn about books, and I knew it would be something easy to talk about because it was in my head. It's something I grew up, I did. So, but I'm a creator. I love creative stuff. I love to make stuff. Even doing music, it was trying to make something that didn't exist that lives on forever, like music do. You create the music and we got musicians that's not here today. Marvin Gaye not here, but his song "Let's Get It On" is still a classic. We just seen what happened with the Michael Jackson movie. So that's what I wanted to do this time with it. That's always just been a thing. I wanted to tell a story, but I wanted to tell a story. I got a couple of books I'm gonna be working on, but all of them, I kind of wanted them to still touch on something. I wanted them all to have some type of point to them. So when I came with the Escape from the 38th, that came from it literally came from TikTok. I'm just being honest. It came from TikTok. I was on TikTok. I was scrolling one night, and it's about 2 years ago. I was just scrolling, and around the time I was kind of still working on the first book, but I was going down TikTok, I kind of seen this something about fake stores in North Korea. I've heard North Korea. I've heard a little bit about, but I just never got into all of that, the worldly politics, the local politics too hard. So it was, I knew, I heard, I didn't even know what all was, who was what and what. I just kind of But that kind of interested me. So I'm like, fake stores? Why would anybody have any fake store? So they've spent all this money, got all this stuff for fake store. So that interested me. So that triggered me. And as I get to doing that, I find out about a guy named Otto Warmbier through this rabbit hole. That was the guy that, went to, he was on a vacation, kind of like a vacation, student vacation. He was an American. He got accused of stealing a poster or something from there. And, he later, when they finally were able to, his family was able to get his body back, a couple of years later, he died the next day or something. It's just a real sad story. And even watching those courts and the things and just watching all of that, I don't know, it lit something in me to where it was like, I gotta do something, but what can I do? I don't know, no, but what could I do? And at the same time, again, I love to write, I love to whatever. Then all of this turned me into you can ask my two best friends. This turned me into a North Korea specialist. This is all I want to hear. It's all I want to talk about. My friends are like, yeah, you going down to the street, you going down to get some food from the, people in North Korea can't get this food. They like, dude, you are crazy. Calm down a little bit. Like, you know what I mean? But that's how I was just so into, and I wanted to do something or contribute in some kind of way. And then, like I said, listening to a lot of these defector stories and learning what a defector was. I learned a whole new vocabulary over the last 2 years with this whole thing. But just learning, picking up how that go, some kind of way, this story kind of came to me of these twin sisters. But I'll let you go because I don't.
That's awesome, Jonnie, because as you're talking about that, I remember that here in South Korea, we have a lot of traditional shops, not fake ones, real ones. And there's this older man who had served in the army, right? And he has this shop of all these souvenirs from around the world, mostly Asia. And he invites me to have coffee in the back of the little back room of his shop. And he starts telling me a true story about a love story of North Korea. And when the DMZ made that line, when we had the treaty, the peace treaty. Right. And so the man and the woman and the man that were so in love got separated. And they talked about how he actually was able to have these underground people who would at nighttime go through the water and these passes to try to reunite people from the north and sneak them back. And of course, a lot of them were, captured or whatever. But it was, we probably talked about it for a good 2 hours, this whole love story of these people. And they finally get back together when they're in their 70s.
You see, and that's and even those people you're talking about, I think they may be called smugglers or something. And all of this book deals with all of that too. You go through it. We dealing with just the whole, like I said, it's a whole vocabulary I had to learn, just keeping up with all of it because it was so interesting. I couldn't take my mind off it. But it's a lot, and you can imagine how many stories that really is like this. Because in this particular one, in mine. What happens is you got Gia, that's my lead protagonist or whatever, pretty much in the one you see on the cover. Well, when she was, about 12 years ago, when her and her sister, they were like 12 years old, and her sister's name is Somin, her mom, her father, his brother, and their grandmother name is Halamini. The family kind of been planning this for a minute, these escapes. They'll draw it on the back of little stuff, burn it, draw the lines in the dirt. The family, they've been, we're gonna escape. We're gonna escape. This is kind of how the book starts off. And what ends up happening, and without me giving away too much of the book, but what ends up kind of happening is, the grandmother and Gia, they escaped at the 38th parallel, but her sister was snatched, her mother was snatched, the father got shot right there, and the brother, they died right there. All right, so once they pass, you got, how it is. You in South America, so this, and keep me right if I'm right, because But from what I researched, it's pretty much she got a life together in South America. They got a big thing that they can do, and a lot of groups and stuff that they do that kind of help, defectors and so forth. And Gia, her grandmother Halamini was just kind of like, it was an opportunity for her to go to America She can go to America on this program, and she go through this program, she can open a business. So what she does is she goes to America, and she goes through this program. She leaves America, goes to Pensacola, Florida. She opens this business in this little Korean restaurant or whatever. She has a boyfriend. He's in the Navy, you know, in Pensacola, you know, the Navy base is right there. And he has a best friend, Jacoby. Jacoby is a cyber specialist. He's in the Navy too. He is like the most controlled chaos. Like Daniel is super straight, narrow. He wouldn't do nothing wrong. He won't even color outside of the lines. He just one of them people. Now Jacoby's the opposite, but he's very smart. But Jacoby worries about beaches, basketball, bikinis, and butterflies. He loves butterflies. He'll repeat this in the book. You'll catch on when I say why I say it like that. But he repeats that's his thing. But he's very smart. And there's this whole a thing that he has with butterflies. Some things happen with some butterflies with So Mean while she's, because later what ends up happening is, just long story short, like I said, it's a whole book. Everybody have to like read it, but pretty much Gia kind of finds out, Gia's grandmother finds out like, hey, we find So Mean is still alive, but she's at a prison camp. And so Gia, her boyfriend, and his friend, well, Gia wants, because they're about to get married. That's when Gia's finding out she's about to get married. And you know, she's telling her husband, her soon-to-be husband, Daniel, the army guy, the straight narrow guy. She's telling him, and she's thinking he's finna leave. He's gonna whatever. He knows this stuff. He's international. I mean, he's in the Marine, you know, in the military, but he still hadn't really like known how deep this North Korea thing is. And he does this deep dive where I get my deep dive from. So he goes on this deep dive of stuff. And anyway, it goes to a whole thing to where they come up with this plan to try to rescue So Mean. And they get Jacoby involved because he's real smart. And it's not the way that you think it sounds, because and that's why that phrase that most people trying to break into North Korea, you know, most people trying to break out of North Korea, but we're trying to break in. That's what Jacoby pretty much asking them, like, y'all are asking me to, like, we gonna do what now? But when you get into the book and how it's done, you do read this and kind of say, this, I'm not saying this could be done, but I don't know. It's kind of, it took a lot of research and a lot of stuff. And you got to think, and so if they break back in it, Gia's not, Gia could get in and be okay. She's from Korea. She's a Korean, but you got two, you know, African-American guys trying to break it. So you definitely can't just be going and walking around being seen. So you got, you know, and it'll explain how they get to all of that, how they get around everything. It's fiction, and I make that clear in the beginning. I make a whole, I give a whole disclaimer that how it's fiction, because I know it can ruffle feathers if they say, you know, some people say, man, that'll never happen or whatever. Then again, I don't know. Again, you read this, you kind of say, it make you wonder, like, I don't know. I mean, and I'm not even writing it. Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just thinking while you're saying that, I was like, you know, I appreciate you saying that, because when my Korean daughter-in-law read Taesung, she was like, oh, Oma, this is you wouldn't say gamshot, you would say this or that, and you need to be more authentic. You need to do your research when you're portraying Koreans, you know. And so right. It's, you know, it's like, okay, I'm doing a sequel to that book, and definitely I've watched a lot of K-dramas. I'm in Korea. I live with Koreans. I have a Korean family, so it's definitely the second book will be even more authentic than the first book, but that's great that you took those deep dives and did your homework. So, Jonnie, I want to ask you, I know the story now is centering around Jia Kim discovering that her twin sister is alive in North Korea. So why was the bond between sisters such an important emotional foundation to this story?
Well, because of, if you look at when you see the whole series, it'll make a little bit more sense. But the thing of it is, more of like, this book is showing what would anybody do to go for a loved one. And you got to think how Gia lost everybody. You got to remember, she saw her grandfather her dad get murdered. She saw her uncle get murdered. She saw that as a kid. She saw her sister get snatched that she thought was getting murdered. She learns, you know, something happens with her mother too. So you take all of that trauma, and it's just her and her grandma, for what she knows, everybody's around her is past, to find out that is there. And these are twins every time. I don't have a twin, but I know friends, and I got people that are twins, and they say, like that they can really feel each other. It's a different thing with them. They kind of came off the same heartbeat, the same everything. So when you take some twins, they got separated like that, and one and you know, by Lord's, by God, by Jesus's help, because you know it's a big thing in here too, how they, you know, like religion and the Christian religion, you know, the Christian faith, because that's what she adopts once she leaves, and her coming from North Korea where you can't worship, you know, do none of that, to having this faith, and then finding out your sister is alive at this camp. Now she may be skinny and kind of sick a little bit, but for whatever reason, God has held her. She's still alive. And so I think anybody would be searching for that bond, because the last time you were happy, you didn't know what was going on, but your mom, your sister, your family, the last time you had all your family together, and the last little happy night was the meal that y'all ate before y'all go to do, you know, what happens. And so you put that on the readers. I think it kind of shows like the extension of why somebody would even go to even think to even try to, because you got to think, and they know it's not like they in the book like, oh, we're going to go and break in North Korea. No, even in the book, in the fictional world, it's still like, hey man, hey, we this may not work. This could be the end of everything, you know.
And that's very interesting too. I love that the twin bonding. And as you're talking, just so much comes up for me when you're talking about Korea, of course. But
right.
We do have a program here in South Korea where they will reunite family members from North Korea, and it's usually the elders that are getting ready to pass away. So they'll allow like 3 or 4 members to actually come and live in Korea for the end of their life. Basically. Really? So, but only 3 or 4, maybe 5, you know, that North Korea will allow, but it's like, okay, they're getting older now, you know, and we don't want to take care of them. So here in South Korea, you can get back to your family. So it gives me hope that books like yours are going to reach people, and there's going to be more and more, because the South Koreans are always hoping that we'll reunite with the North. So books like yours are extremely important. So I can see where. Yeah, absolutely. Being that Korea is North Korea is one of the most secretive nations in the world, right? I can see that you've done your homework.
Right. Yeah. And I was going to say too, in it, a big thing in it is, speaking of, and I'm just saying it because you just said it, but the reunification, the whole thing of when you do the research on the whole thing of North Korea, basically in this whole series at the end of all the 3rd book or whatever, the whole thing of it is almost just in simple terms, just everybody need to stay out of them people business. Everybody been in a bit, and that's pretty much what you're going to see Kim Jong-un say in a scene. I'm like I said, I ain't giving it away, but it's some stuff that's going to happen. You're going to hear him kind of saying, like, you're going to get a different perspective than just you thinking of an American just writing this. I'm actually going to spin it a little bit and give some points that he makes that do make you say, I'm not saying the stuff that he's doing in the camps and the labors or whatever, because you can't never judge people on that, even though I know it's harsh and I think like, oh, your prisons are worse, your laws are, but you can't tell nobody how to whoop their child at home. That's how I feel about him and that. But I do think that it'll give a perspective of why so evil, as far as the beef with the West and why they hate America, and you can't even wear jeans, and oh, you got a haircut just like an American. But wait a minute, you watch your favorite basketball player is Michael Jordan, and your homeboy is Dennis Rodman. Like what? So, but all of this gets kind of, and he speaks on this stuff from his perspective of, you know, why it's like it is and why it'll always be like it is because of this happening. This happened, and my grandfather feels this way, and you know they were hiding, and it's just different stuff that I pulled from different history books and stuff to try to get, you know, and I didn't want to just make it a just, oh yeah, and just North Korea bash. No, it's like, let's make it a real book. Let me give what could the argument be if I was on the other side. I mean, I don't agree with nothing, but if I had from a writer's standpoint to make this really interesting and make somebody say, I could see this happening. I could see, because he says this stuff already. These are quotes and stuff that's already in the public. I kind of just took them and played with them and turned them into dialogue for the sake of the book. But yeah, right.
You know, and I appreciate the fact that you're actually kind of giving a little more vision into North Korea and the leader, because that's a whole nother talk show, but everything has a backstory, and I really appreciate it when certain things, like even Wicked came out and was showing the backstory of Gwendolyn, right? And what really happened to her. And so, or Alphaba. Okay, forgetting the character's name, but anyways, we get the backstory and we learn that she wasn't
Dorothy.
always a wicked witch. She, this is life kind of happened to her, and this is how it became this way.
And
So
this
I
is what made
appreciate
her right.
some
Right.
insight there. So how did you balance writing an exciting thriller while also respecting the real human experiences that are connected to the story?
Because like I said in the book, what I try to do, I tell stories that I know go on. There are defectors, there are camps, there are certain things. But again, just like even with that Kim Jong-un spin, there's a couple of different times that it'll show in the book that, like I said, it's not a North Korea, let's bash North Korea type of book. I mean, an American we may think so because, I mean, like I said, to us, at least from what we know and what we've seen, I haven't been there. But, for the ones that have got to go, they only go a certain way, and you hear North Korea gives such a spin. Even when I heard it, I was so mad. It drew me to draw a whole book, and I ended up on this interview with you. That's but, but it drew an anger for humanity, and it was the kids and them babies I was seeing, and then like I said, seeing the whole fake stores, and it made you want to dive deeper and research deeper. But under that research, and this is just from what I could get here, but under that research, you can find, and you'll even find there are some people that have defected and they went back. That's a story they don't talk about. There are some people that have defected. Now, I don't know if it's better when they do it or whatever, but I just, like I said, I've been on this thing for 2 years. There has been some people there's another group of people out there right now that, to them, yeah, we left and we hate we ever left and had to go and do whatever. Y'all got to pay for everything and do it. And all we get all our stuff. We comfortable. I'll do it this way. So I try to, just for the sake of readers, and touch everything, because that's what I want to be. I don't want to be a biased type of writer, especially in something so sensitive like that. But I did want to give what I felt my contribution would be to it. I like to have the conversations about it. I love talking about the situation. I love learning about it. Because at one point I was just one-sided. Oh, they evil, they bad. You can't. But as I looked and seen certain things, like I said, I think still certain stuff is terrible, but it still gave me a whole different perspective. Like, okay, that's bad and you horrible. But like you said with the wicked, I could see why. Because man, if that may have happened to me now, like Lieutenant Dan in Forrest Gump, why he was so mean and evil and cussing and this and that. If you saw how everything may have happened, I'm not saying Lieutenant Dan was right. He was the craziest character to this day I've seen in a movie. But considering what happened to him, I might would have been kind of upset like that, and it's one of them type of.
And I think it's really important. My son here in Korea owns a debate academy. So he's the #1 debate coach in Busan of 7 million people. And so in order to have a conversation with him, I must know both sides, the opposition and the government side, both sides of an issue before I talk to him. Otherwise, I'm going to get owned. And
Oh my goodness!
So it's very important to know both sides of the story, not just one selective vision, your opinion, because opinions are emotion and they're not subjective. And subjective is the truth and the facts. So I appreciate the fact that you were trying to represent both sides and not just, our linear thinking that a lot of people sadly get caught up in.
If it ever makes it to Kim Jong-un, he's gonna say, I expected this from the West anyway. But so no, I wanted to give it to where somebody said, well, at least he tried to trying to tell some truth is what I would, if he ever got it. I hope he never gets it, but whatever.
So what do you hope that readers will understand about freedom after reading your book?
I hope that it kind of that freedom is it should be granted to everybody. There is limited. I started off with a bunch of different quotes of freedom, like from Abraham Lincoln to John F. Kennedy and so forth, because the thing of this book is showing it how freedom is. It's like, for me, it's showing this book is for like even to people in the world to say, yeah, I know even in America, we going through whatever is bad. You got this, you got that, you got this and this and that. But did you know there's a group of people and they've been doing this forever and they don't never know when. They wish what happens in Escape was real. They wish this was real just because it's so bad and terrible. And not even the ones in the prison camp. We ain't talking about so many. We talking about the original group that was leaving originally, because people do try to escape a place like that. And there's other countries and so forth too that got different stuff. So it's almost like not saying nobody should want their whatever in America and this and this and that, but it's kind of almost like, let's not take everything for granted though. Yeah, it ain't the best. Yeah, it's got its problems. Yeah, it's some stuff that could be better. We know it's been like everything like that, but let's look over here, and this will make you wake up and say, well, you know what, God, I apologize. You know what I mean? Wherever I'm at, I could be in the middle of whatever I thought I did. You know what? I'm sorry. I apologize. You're right. And let me pray for these people, because obviously they need it, if it's supposed to be like it really, just whatever. But that's what the whole perspective is, just showing the worldview that, you know, everywhere. And I would want anybody to, you know, because again, we need more happy stuff and more, you know, humbleness. And that's what I wanted to bring a humbleness to anybody that's seeing it, to say, yo, it's, man, oh, okay. You know what? Maybe I can love thy neighbor because we're not going through that. And to keep us from going through something like that, we could, you know.
So I feel that there's a central theme that's running through your book. So how does the faith, hope, or belief play in your story? I can see where, and I certainly really appreciate it, because we need to be grateful for everything we have and focus on that rather than what we don't have, because as you say, so many other places in the world, what they're struggling with on a daily basis, right? We should just be so grateful. So what role does faith, hope, or belief play in your story?
Well, in the book, it even starts off with Joshua 1:9. And you know, the whole thing of this, the whole thing is pretty much, it could easily been in a Christian book section if needed, if wanted to be, because the whole entire thing, the night that the escape that starts in the beginning of the book, the grandmother Halamini, she's whispering prayers over the girls before they get ready to go do this. She's in the whispers while they trying to sneak and get to the 38th. All through the book, Gia, even when she's deciding and she wants to try to go find her sister, and now her boyfriend and his best friend, now everybody's this thing is turning real. Gia's praying. There's a person that works in Gia's shop that's from Korea that she later hired or whatever. She's running the shop while Gia goes, while they go do this. Her thing is she's going to be praying. Prayer is mentioned so much into the book. Like I said, this could have easily been a Christian book. I mean, it easily, I could see it, because it does lean in heavy on you know, on the faith and having the faith, and then it's coming from, again, it's showing a group of people like you got us Americans who we can go every day. It's a church on every corner. We can whatever, and everybody got their how the church do this. They take this always, you know, a reason not to go. I take it an excuse. Oh, well, they gonna do this, gonna da. Okay, cool. Well, I feel it's different when you come from a group of people that were told they couldn't worship a Jesus, they couldn't believe in a Jesus. They had to have a great leader and his grandson on their wall. And there's a story that happened that really drove me crazy, about the lady that had a baby in the carriage, and she stood outside and the baby in the carriage was in the house. Some kind of way the house caught on fire. She runs in, she gets the carriage, she gets out with the baby. Everything's fine, peaceful. The baby's safe, she's safe. She gets 3 life sentences because she let the 2 pictures of the Kim Jong-un and his grandfather, she let them burn. She got 3 life sentences. The baby got the life sentences to that. So all of that made me want to, like I said, just make you want to do something, you know.
Oh, absolutely. And Kim Jong-un executed his uncle because his uncle refused to have his hair cut the same way as him. I mean, it's just, yeah, that's a whole nother rabbit hole to dive down.
It's a whole nother one, right? We'll go 3 more hours on that one. Yeah. So just knowing that exists, I want to put that out in the world. Just like I said, all of this is to show the gratefulness, even with the Christian theme in it and so forth. It's even showing that in America, like if this girl can, if her and her family can hold on and believe and find Jesus and all this stuff Jesus came through and did, and her sister was gone for however long or whatever, and you know, through prayer and belief, because you had to believe. Her grandma knew the whole time. She knew so many probably alive. Your mom's probably gone, but I got a feeling that, you know what I mean? That's a belief, because you know, Gia wrote it to the back of her mind because it was traumatizing. You know how trauma do. So she was trying to push all that to the back of her mind till her grandmother tells her, you know, hey, we found out she there. And then all of a sudden now it's a rescue mission. So the whole thing is just, like I said, it's one of them I don't even know what you would call it, because it's a lot of different titles that you could name this thing. Or it's just a story that came to me, and I just kept building and building on it, you know.
And thinking of that, so characters, courage, and sacrifice. Jia faces an impossible decision: protect her new life or risk everything for her sister. What does her journey teach us about courage?
It teaches that if you really want something and you really believe in it, no matter how crazy it is, how we talk about manifestations and so forth, if you really believe in it, because think about it, at that point, when she found her sister was alive, her life didn't mean nothing too much in her mind anymore anyway. Not in a bad way, just it meant I want to live. Now that I know she's alive, I thought she may have been dead, so I just wrote it out in my head. But now I know that she's alive. I don't even want to go any further without it. So you know what? I'm gonna give it all I got and try to figure this out. If the worst come to worst, we can be just stuck in the camp together. At least I'm back with my sister, or at least I know where you're at, you know where I'm at, versus she still be out here and your sister is in the camp and you know what she going through and you're not even doing nothing about it. You ain't even thinking about it, which she could have easily done. She could have just kept on with her life, married Daniel, kept it moving, never, because in the thing, when she tells Daniel what's going on, he knows that Gia's from Korea, and he kind of knows a little bit about the escape, but he don't know like that there's a twin sister and all of that. He just think that the mom situation, and he doesn't know the whole thing. Then when he finds out that guy kind of draws him in too, like, no, I'm not leaving you. And she's like, yeah, you could just go ahead and leave me because I got to do this. And he's like, no, I think I'm going to figure something out. I don't know what I'm going to figure out, but I'm going to figure something out because ain't no way I'm leaving you. And then it, you know.
That's very cool. As you're saying that, I'm remembering, like, because we've been in Korea off and on since 2004 with my son, and came over when he's 17. So one of his first girlfriends from China, but she was here illegally trying to go to school because China has that one child per family rule, and everyone wanted boys. So she was taken out to the countryside and basically dropped off with a grandmother to be raised. So she had no national identification. She did not exist in China. So she basically was smuggled over and started to try a life here. So my son actually married her in China, established her residency as a real person in China, and then she was able to finish school in Korea. So it's a very real thing.
Okay, sure. Wow. Yeah, see, okay, wow. I'm surprised you didn't write a book about all of that. Golly, you got a lot of stuff going, man. That's awesome though. Just even telling me, I'm like, wow, wow.
Book number 3 or 4 or 5.
No.
Oh, so cool, Jonnie. So did any character surprise you while writing the book?
Yeah, the character that shocked me the most in the situation was, like I said, I knew when I wrote it, I knew I had to have a lead, and this thing was her twin sister. So I knew there was 2. I had Daniel, that was the straight and narrow guy, but I needed I needed kind of like a little comic relief. I need the bad guy a little bit, not a bad guy, just a little different, but he got big value. Well, that's who, and not to give it away, but Jacoby is what he go by. He does some interesting stuff in this, to where, from jokester to hero is the best way I could say. He'll go from the jokester to the hero and through the series, because again, it's a 3-part series, this book. So you got Escape. The series is called The Escape. And so you got Escape from the 38th, then I'll do Return to the 38th, and then the last one will be the 38 Hot.
Wow. So as a writer, do you find yourself connecting more with the characters or the overall message of the story?
Well, when it first starts, when I first draw it up, that's what I come up with, is whatever I want the message to be, because that's usually what comes, like I want to do something about da-da-da-da-da. But then that idea can sit for a while until something just triggers something to make me say, you know what? I could put this like this and then put it in there. And then and then you go from there. So it's a little bit of both. But for me, I always have like the overall idea first. And it may sit for a minute though. It's not like I jump on it right away, but I have that written out somewhere, and usually in my phone and in Microsoft Word, just kind of sitting there. And then later, as I'm thinking of something else that happened, and I put it all together. And then I say, oh, you know what? That'll be a character for this thing I'm writing. You know what? Oh, okay. And now I done drew this character. I done drew their personality. Once they personality come to me, I got the story. Now I just got to get the personality of 2 or 3 of them, or 1 or 2 of them. Then I could usually get a whole story going.
You know, and the supporting characters are really key in a novel, in any novel, because like with my Taesung's Peculiar Life, his best friend Squeak, you know, was bullied a lot, and he's a supporting character of Taesung, but then Taesung is his hero in a way. So those little, and that side comic that you had, you know, because it is a very difficult topic that you're writing about, so it did need to have that comic relief from, you know, so good for you.
Yeah, I wouldn't have wanted to. Yeah, it would have been too hard to just write out with everything. It would have been too sad. It wouldn't have been. Now you need that little, you know, that knock the edge off. Takes the story this way, and yeah, and that's what he does. That's what he does in the series. Yes, ma'am.
So now, Jonnie, I want to dive a little more into bridging that from memoir to fiction author. Okay. So your first book was your own life story. Your second book creates a fictional world. How did your approach to storytelling change?
Well, the thing is I knew that when my story, I kind of, you know, I knew it, I lived it, you know, talked about it, experienced it. The problem with the memoir was really writing it, because it's like, man, I've thought about this and wanted to do this so long. How do you really get it out there? And it's got to be deep, because it's really truths. So now you stuck within it. You got to color within these lines. But if you when you're doing fiction, even though I got a certain thing I got to stay to, because, you know, then nobody jump up and turn into Superman in the middle of this, and, you know, Gia just fly over to and rescue a sister like it. So it still had perimeters.
That would be cool to have that superpower. I would
have been cool. Right. You see what I mean? So you have to, you know, so I had to just find that fine line. In that fiction, though, you got a little bit of room, because if you kind of get off, or you get another idea running, this is fiction. You can tie it in whatever. It's not a real, versus that memoir. This is really your life. So you can't just say, oh, well, I did this and I da-da-da-da-da. No, not in this day and age. Everybody gonna Google and say, hey, no, dude, nope, that happened. No, especially a Gen Z. Don't play with Gen Z. Them Gen Zers, tell them something, man. They will screenshot, they will show you, they will Google, they will pull up a TikTok, they will ban you on TikTok. Yeah, I don't know.
I know. I've got the Gen Z in my family. Like I said,
too.
My son. I'll make sure I Google it before I talk to him.
They're serious. They will. I don't get them nothing. Don't tell. Yeah, and you know, in my day, it was like da 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 da. They're gonna say, "Nah, I'm Googling your day right now." Nah, that didn't happen. No, you weren't even born. You weren't born when that happened, Granddad. No, I don't think that's. I don't think you're accurate there. You know, so.
Well, that's good that they're Googling it too. They're getting the facts instead of just, you know, throwing opinions out aimlessly, not really knowing what they're talking about, right?
No, that's true. That's true. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So did writing fiction allow you to explore ideas you couldn't explore through the memoir?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, the memoir was real limited, and it was just my life. And at the time I was learning too. But even if I was a pro, it's only, like I said, that little boundary. But I knew with this, I wanted something that was just different. That's what I want people to get out of this, that do read and see us as an author. Because like I said, it's easy to write about my life, but now I would want people to say, okay, all right. All right, Jonathan. Okay. I understand now. I understand. Because it's like he can really do it. This is all in his head. This is what he was thinking about. I had to come up with the characters, the backstory, had to do the research. I had to read this, had to find this out. I had to make sure this and that. I had to learn, like, even what they eat, to even talk about what they eat in food and all of that kind of stuff. You know, you had to Google and look and da-da-da-da-da, because you're building this character. So now you got to know, like, what is Kamish? I don't even know if I'm saying it right, but you know, stuff like that you have to. And so yeah, and that's the fun part, though. That's the part I like. That's the part that, because, you know, it's building, it's creating, and you, like I said, you're building these people. Now you're building this world and this whole thing, and now it's a whole, kind of like George Lucas when he, you know, made Star Wars. You know, he had to make that whole atmosphere of, you know, he got Luke, he got Leia, and they got a mother, and the dad, and the dad is really this. And you know, it's one, you got to do that, and that's the part I like. That's why I think that may be my lane for a minute. I got some children books coming. I got other things, but I think this fiction may be my lane. I really, really liked it. I enjoyed this. Like, I did.
Well, I can see your passion for it already. And I'm thinking back to our interview last year about your memoir. And we were talking about how you were inspired at an early age by Michael Jackson and you were doing the
Yes.
slide across the kitchen floor.
Right. Right.
So
Absolutely.
what lessons from your own experiences influenced the way you wrote Escape from the 38th?
I put it this way. I felt like we'll use Michael Jackson. So and Michael Jackson with when his first album, when his first big album when he was grown, we'll say like Off the Wall, he did it and it was perfected. He got with Quincy Jones, he was doing something different. He was away from his brothers. He was, you know, he was finally on his own to really experiment and do what he wanted to do. So he did that and he got it. And then that year, I think they had the Grammys. I think he only got one. He was nominated for a couple, but he didn't really win what he wanted to. But he knew. And so he knew then immediately he goes to the studio with Quincy Jones, records 130 songs, and we get 9 of them. And that's the greatest album ever wrote. So not that this will be the greatest book ever wrote in that aspect, but for me in this situation, Off the Wall was the memoir, me learning, figuring this out. Oh, this is how the book game goes. This is how publishing works. This is how distribution works. This is how blah, blah, blah. Like this, how that whole scenario works. And even writing wise. And then now I got the newer one. Now I kind of know a little bit now. Then, you know, it's been 2 years in. I'm not wet behind the ears anymore. Even with this book, I did like even the publishing and the pretty much every single detail of it this time is like literally me doing versus had a little, you know, another publisher or whatever. I mean, I did most on the last one too, but I feel like I really did every inch of everything of this one. And so that, I would say that, yeah, it's like, you know, going from Off the Wall to, all right, now I need to go back and now I need to do it. And then boom, here goes Thriller. And you get to just experiment. You get this, and like I say, international reach too. Put me in a whole nother place, a story that I wouldn't like. I don't want to write what people might think I would write about, or, you know, just I want something that I want people when they find out I wrote it, they're like, oh, he wrote that. That didn't seem like he would have wrote that. Jonathan wrote that. Okay. I wanted it like, you know, I wanted something like that, but I wanted it to be good too. You know, the biggest thing is that it's good. I don't care what I just want whoever read it to say, man, this is good. Because it's for enjoyment and I want them to learn something. You know, you learn some, hopefully you get a humble heart out of it. And then, like I said, you know, even if you're learning about international, even if it's nothing else, it's a love story. You know, Gia and her dude Daniel, you could go for that angle. That's a love story. Then you got the rescue story. It's so many different little stories inside of this big story. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is so true. It's really the journey is the thing, you know, that's the learning, the growing. One place leads you to another place. And you know, I have shiny object syndrome. So I'm like, oh, over here. Oh, yeah. Over there. So I have to keep coming back to centers, you know, all right, okay, I got this. But it is when you're passionate about something, that's how it goes.
Absolutely.
So Jonnie, your journey includes music, journalism, podcasting, and now fiction writing. What connects these creative paths together for you?
That they all about creation, and creating again, you know, go back to that thing since I was young as I could remember, my favorite thing to do was to do something that didn't exist, but that could probably live past me. So like I started off loving to draw. I used to draw all the time. I try to draw everybody, drawing. And you know, a drawing, you draw something, somebody like it, it lives longer than you do. Same thing with the music. You record a good song, it lives longer than you do. Me being a writer and you know, as a young age and teen appeal newspapers and all this kind of stuff. Same thing. Them articles live longer than I do. They're now. They're in my book, my first book. You know, a lot of that stuff all of this stuff is stuff that you create and it lives longer than you do. And it's an imprint of who you are. All of these, each one of these things are like, this is who you really are, or what, you know, what was in your mind? What was you feeling? What was your heart at? What was your, you know, so I've always loved that as you see all of the stuff I do from the podcasting to the, you know, making the music, to the, you know, even the books, it's still the same thing. It's still writing this book. I could have wrapped this same story of Escape from the 38th. I can hopefully one day, the whole reason is I want it to become a movie or anything I do. Like all of this stuff could be transferred and used in the same. So they're all the same. It's no different than it was with, doing music, or like I said, you're giving a story, you're giving a point, and you're just using the art that you know, what you're good at to, you know, package it up and get it out there.
It's so true. It's you're leaving your legacy behind, your voice, your impact on the world. You know, you were here, and it seems, you know, when you're saying that, I'm thinking about many artists and authors who their work wasn't discovered until they passed away, and then it became national, right?
Right.
And so,
That's
you
true.
know, I'm kind of hoping that too with my books and different things that I do, that my grandsons, you know, even when I'm hoping not to do that for, you know, at least 20 more years,
No, I feel
pass
you,
away.
yeah.
Then
No,
if they miss me, they can just go back and listen to an interview. Oh, there's grandma, right? It's there, right?
Exactly. It's there. Exactly. That's what the whole thing is, you know, putting our imprint on the world. And, you know, I feel like that's what God give us the skill to do. That's what it's for, you know.
Absolutely. So what have you learned about yourself through becoming an author?
That's a good question. I haven't even thought of it like that. I guess I could just say that it make me push my limits. Even like I said, even doing it this time with the book, like I said, playing every aspect of it. So like, instead of me sending it to somebody and let them edit it and do all the stuff, this time, like, I did it. I did the, you know, the outline and the formatting and all of this is learning. So, you know, but at the same time, I mean, I kind of knew distribution, and then you find out even in the big book business, it's the same thing as the music stuff. Like, I mean, more people are independent now, so they releasing using like Draft 2 Digitals and, you know, Amazons or whoever they were using. But it's the same thing in the music business, because back in the day, the the publishers would pay somebody $10,000, but they're gonna do all the work for the book to make it whatever, and they're gonna set these interviews and this and that, and you don't make anything back till after you pay that $10,000 back, and that may take forever. And if you don't pay it back, then you in debt. Like, it's the same exact. I mean, you know, so this would be like the independent route. So I just learning. Like, I like I said, it's just been fun, just me learning it. I'm picking up different stuff every day. It definitely I just feel it. I could get my words out, I get my story out. I could really, even with writing, I think this is even better than music to a degree, because I'm actually getting it all like out. And somebody else is gonna receive it and pick it up, and they get to. So I don't know. I like all this kind of stuff.
It really, writing is really a cathartic journey. You know, it teaches us about ourselves. It teaches us about other people and world events and whatever we're writing about. But also, we're not the same person after we've written that book and we go on to the next book. You know, because we're constantly, if we're growing, we're evolving,
right? Right, exactly. Yes, ma'am. Yep. And that's the biggest thing of everything, the growing and evolving. You know, that's what we're here to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's touch on your Jonnie Mac show. So you're hosting that, and that's a recent development. So where you discuss culture, current events, relationships, and global issues. What inspired you to start this podcast?
Well, I had the podcast. I started back in 2017. And all it was is I again had at a time in life that I had stuff I wanted to say. It was a lot of like world issues and stuff going on. And this is before podcast even became a thing. I was just saying that because I had heard the word back then and I just needed something to call it. So I was doing these recordings and I was using this app called Spreaker. And so they were like, it's like a radio show. And they let you set it up like a radio show, you know. So I turned it into the Jonnie Mac show, to where I would go and I talk about all these different events or whatever, because it was kind of like I said, just like radio. I just cut on the mic and record it, mix it, and then I would add in my old music and stuff and this and that. So and what I ended up doing, I've done it on and off for a while. It grew real big in 2020, 2021. And around the middle of 2021, I kind of like let it go. I got busy with other stuff. So now what I use it as is it's just it's like a promotional tool. I could pick it up because every time I do it, people love it. Like the last season I just do like, I try to do 10 episodes at a time every Saturday, 10 episodes. And with them, I use them to promote. They help me. I can promote my stuff, and then I can speak on the different world issues that I like to talk about. Like I got one that I'm working on now is called Why is Everybody Fighting? Because everywhere I've looked at, from I seen like a little kindergarten graduation, I saw a bunch of people fighting. Then I seen the high school graduations. I seen at the fair, everywhere you look. And here's the thing, it's not even like one demographic, like, oh, just the black people or the white people or the Chinese people or the whoever. It's everybody everywhere. Like I said, it was at a Catholic school, and these parents are fighting at a Catholic kindergarten graduate. And they tell me, oh, it happened over a seat. Most people, when a kid is in the room, it used to be a time to where we ain't gonna get loud if kids run out. If I see you outside, it may be different. But why kids and little bitty kids and stuff over a seat, you got it. I'm sorry, it's cool. Now people are ready to fight. So that's a show that I'm working on. It should have been done this weekend. I'm almost done with it, but it'll be out by this weekend. But yeah, so I've always kind of had that, and I'm gonna always kind of hold the Jonnie Mac show. Thinking about me and my business partner, we're talking about taking it to YouTube and whatever. So once we do that, the YouTube version will still be different than the radio show. Is just where I can always cut the phone on wherever. If I want to make a season and do whatever, I'll do that. I got that where if I got stuff on my mind, I can just cut that microphone on and I've dressed it up and put it all good and cool and make some stuff to it to make it a show. But anytime something go on, that's the whole reason I made it. So I use it, and like I said, I use it as a promotional tool. So I'm gonna do 10 episodes to promote the book, like I did for the last book. I did, like, I think it was 10 to 12 shows just promoting the book on top of using real life issues.
And I think that people are really wanting to learn more about what's going on in their world and other worlds and relationships. So they're constantly on YouTube or looking for podcasts and listening to it, on their walk or whatever. They're just becoming information sponges, which is great. I'd much rather they do that than be vegging out to Days of Our Lives or something.
Exactly.
But becoming a couch potato. So at least we're getting information that we can decipher for ourselves and get another viewpoint of something. My son has a debate podcast with two of his high school teenagers, and they debate things that are relative to what's happening with their generation, AI replacing jobs, autonomous weapons, AI autonomous weapons, all kinds of things, and people it's very popular because people want to know, and
people want to hear it. People got opinions and they got views on it, and if they experts on the situation or they know and they into this, everybody want to hear it. So no, it's awesome. I love it. I love it.
That's awesome. So what message do you want your audience to take away from both your podcast or your books?
My message is always usually kind of pretty consistent across the board in whatever I'm using, especially when I'm dealing with my art or whatever. My whole thing is always to I want to inspire people to reach for more, reach for better. Like if you're here, then go here. Even if it was hard to get here, still just never stop going. Because like we were just saying, everything grows. The only thing that in life, the only thing that stays the same is the fact that things always change. That's the only one guarantee that it's gonna stay the same. That stuff gonna always change. So, and I know, and I get it, because a lot of sometimes change is hard. Sometimes change ain't whatever. But if you wake up with the mentality that that things always change. They always do. It don't matter how good. If it's sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But I think when you do that and you have a positive attitude, I think that spins and it changes. It opens up some stuff for you. It'll, and then like I think I said this on your last one. The Thomas the Train theory. I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. Anybody that Thomas the Train, he thought he could and he did. I think that about everything. 4 years ago, I was telling friends, man, I really, really want to write a book, man. I need to get me a book out, man. I'm gonna do a book to think I can. I think I can. Now we on number 2. Now we're writing series. Now we on a geopolitical theory. You know what I mean? So if you think you can, you think you can. I just try to apply that to everything that I can, and either I'm gonna try it and I'm gonna fail, or I'm gonna try it, I'm gonna succeed, or I'm gonna try it and say, oh, you know what? All I need to do is da 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 da. Now I got it. One of them 3 gonna happen, or I'm gonna try to say, you know what? I don't like it. One of the 3. But if I never do it, it'll eat me up that I didn't even try or even. And so that's just kind of.
Thank you for that, Jonnie. And it's so true, because humans by nature resist change. They don't want to change. They don't want to get out of their comfortable little known box, but that's what keeps, makes us stagnant. And if we're not growing and we're not changing and evolving, then we're not here doing a life experience like we should. So constantly, like the little train. I love that analogy because I always tell that to my grandson. So you can do it. Just keep one step, the next step, think again, I think again, I can do it. Right. I still have that in my head.
Absolutely. No, got to. Yeah. Because I mean, like I said, we only here for a short time, and sometimes you don't know what version of you is the actual level up. So we have to change consistently to find whatever that thing is. Like if we want to be this particular whatever, I want this particular thing in my life, then I got to be consistent to change to get there. Because the me right now may not be there, but that don't mean that I can't get there. I just may have to. So, but if I'm stuck in my ways that, hey, I'm just going to do this, it's the only way it's going to go, and I'm going to only do it like this, and then those going to be the results that you're going to get. And it's going to seem like this thing you're looking for, it never gets there because you don't conform to become what is required of it, Yeah.
Exactly. So, Jonnie, if you were Gia, would you stay in Florida or would you make that journey and go rescue your sister and bring her back?
Oh, if I was Gia, I'm gone. If I'm Gia, I'm gone. Gia having nightmares. If I'm having vivid dreams consistently to the point to where, and then now I find out that she is actually alive, I'm gone. I got to figure out, I don't know how I'm gonna go. Like she was kind of telling Daniel, like, I'm going back. And, Daniel was telling her, like, I'm going too. Because she's thinking that he's going to be like, oh, it's up, Daniel basically like, well, I'm going too. I'm just finna research and find out. And she's like, you going too? Like, yeah, like we going to North Korea. We going to go break your sister out. Like type, that kind of, not them exact words, but that's the energy that it pretty much was. Like, I'm not going anywhere. Like, if that's what you're doing, that's what you're doing. And that's, yeah.
Awesome. So face your fear and do it anyways. Just do it.
Yeah, because it's going to wake you up. It's going to bother you anyway that you didn't do it, especially something like that. Like for Gia, she was going to it was almost like her knowing her sister was alive. You got to go because you're going to keep having the nightmares. You're going to keep what if, and I just die trying and make this because I want to get some good sleep at night,
Absolutely. So fiction or memoir, which one challenged you more?
Oh, the fiction, definitely the fiction. Well, yeah, the fiction. Because again, you draw this world and you got to stay within the lines. Now, the memoir was different too because you got to make sure you keep it factual. And you're talking 20-some years ago. You're trying to, and that's one thing. But I think coming up with this whole world, like you said, you got to come up with the characters, the side characters, the motive. Even like the motif, the whole thing with the butterfly, that just came to me. Like, and so you're gonna see the butterfly all through there because the butterfly is, you got to think of this, the butterfly, especially for a story like that. With a butterfly, you can't really cage them. You cage a butterfly, then it'll die. Like if you put a butterfly in a box, butterfly probably die. And I've been to the Butterfly Museum in Gainesville, Florida. Even then, they got them where they all over though. It's not like you can put the butterfly on a leash and if you do that, they die. That's so even in this, the butterfly represent the freedom, and the butterfly represent something for each one of the lead characters. Something for Gia, her strength and what she's going through. One for So Mean, what she's been going through. One for Daniel, how he is, all the way to Jacoby, which he's the butterfly king, especially the monarch butterfly. That's the one you see on the cover. But each one of them got characteristics of just butterflies, period. So that's another reason why and to even do that, to think of that, just all of that, yeah, that's fun, but it takes us, so you can't just play with, like I said, it took about 2 years of really to the point to where this, this finally got finished.
And that's so cool too. We resonate on so many levels when you use the butterfly in that symbology, because I've always been associated as a butterfly. And my friend wrote a poem based on something that my brother said. I was visiting my family in California, and my dad said, oh, now that you're here, I wish you would stay because I'm going to miss you so much when you go back home. And my brother said, oh, Dad, don't you know you can't chain a butterfly? So she wrote the poem, you can't chain a butterfly. You have to allow it to fly. You can't clip her wings. It's freedom, right? So that's so cool. When I saw that on your cover, I was like, oh, it's a butterfly.
Yeah, because that's, like, and so, like with a butterfly, you have to let a butterfly do what a butterfly is going to do, because they're going to do it anyway. That's the only way they can survive. And so, and it's part of it to pretty much like the message to encourage people to just be like that butterfly. Just be who you're going to be, live how you're going to live, stay within what's right, but just, and explore and see and all that good stuff.
Metamorphosis, right, is the big symbology of a butterfly. So would that be your message for our listeners today, if you were to leave them with one message?
Yeah, be like a butterfly. Or, I mean, I wish I could make it sound cool like Muhammad Ali. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. I don't want to sting nobody though. So yeah, just be like a butterfly.
Awesome. And what would you say to our people who are on the fence about writing their own memoir or their own book? What would you say to them?
Well, I would say this, do it. And here's the thing. There's a lot of tools now compared to, I'm sure, like when you were first in your time, there's a lot of tools. Now, don't get too caught up in the tools, because man, that I was on went on one of these little groups, Facebook groups for Amazon beginner writers. I go on there and I put the little thing I got with the posters with all my upcoming and all AI slop, all Jonathan McSloppy slop. Oh, he's using nothing but AI. And I'm like, no, I wrote this stuff. That's why I used the AI for this little poster. Man, I wrote this. I wrote this for 2 years, and they're like, oh no, you're using slop. It's all AI. And I'm like, nah, and I understand, because I'm not gonna use the AI to write for me. That take away what I like. I like the creative part. That's the whole. But I mean, you're not gonna be able to get away. Even using Microsoft Word, there's an AI thing that pops up and it doesn't go away. And some of it kind of helped too, because you're like, oh, that's how you spelled it. Okay. You're going to run into this stuff. That's like us saying never use a calculator. We'll never go away from the calculator ever. Like that. Same thing with this AI. It's just, it is what it is. It's going to be here. They could say good. There's some bad. I mean, I'm not even here to debate that, but yeah, they got hard with that. But yeah, that would be the main message though, because I could go on 2 more hours on that alone. They hurt my feelings in that group. They hurt my feelings really. Like Jonathan McSloppy slop. I'm like, why would you say that? Like, what?
Yeah, I would totally want to slap them on general purposes just for saying that. It's like people are looking, they're like, there's trolls out there that are looking for what this was AI written content. And I don't blame them, because there's so much AI out there that we're just getting overwhelmed with
ridiculous. It. Yeah. So yeah, I'm writing my own stuff now. I will use it. I did use it to help with some of the covers, little stuff like that. But no, I'm not. Yeah, I wouldn't sit and write it and let AI sit and do everything. And then I just say, hey, here's my book. I just know that I know my fun is the writing. That's my stress reliever, sitting and thinking and coming up with it. And when I read it and it's good, that's what I like. I don't know.
Yeah, talk about missing the writer's journey, by letting AI write it all for you. It's great for formatting or outlining and giving you ideas or whatever, but the authenticity has to come from the imagination. And I feel that's what people are looking for. Yeah.
Absolutely. I may have used it. I was trying to get a dish in Korean, and I wanted it spelt the way that it's spelt in Korea. I used some little AI for that to get how the logo and the symbol look. But no, like the story, I would never know. What's the point of even? No, that take away the fun. That ain't out. No.
And I appreciate your authenticity, Jonnie, for sure. So, Jonnie, thank you so much for returning to Gimme 5 book reviews and author interviews and sharing this exciting next chapter of your writing journey.
Yes,
From sharing your own story, Jonnie Maine, a memoir, to creating a powerful geopolitical thriller, Escape from the 38th, your journey shows the power of storytelling to connect people, inspire conversations, and shine a light on important human experiences. So for our viewers, be sure to check out Jonathan McDonald's newest release, Escape from the 38th, and follow his work through Jonnie Maine Mac Show. If you enjoyed this interview, please like and subscribe and share to support authors and meaningful stories. I'll have all the links in the description box below. And as always, keep reading, keep discovering new voices, and we'll see you next time on Gimme 5 book reviews and author interviews. Jonnie, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I love it.
Thank you. And I look forward to your next. You have another one coming out, right?
Yeah, I got a children's book, and but the part 2 to this will be about a year from now. I've already been starting on it, but Return to the 38th is that's gonna be another
Fantastic. Everybody check out his new book. It just sounds amazing. I'm going to for sure. Jonnie, take care. Be well. Be happy.
All right. Yes, ma'am. You too. Thank you so much.
Thank
All righty.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.